Yeah, working with Starling, kind of where from a API documentation, sandbox, and integration, is where we'd want to be, a company in a couple of years.
We can offer our customers a really easy experience to access these products with people that do have experience in offering them.
Today I'm joined by Nick Voss, who's a product owner at Molo Finance, and Gareth Towler, who is a product analyst at Starling Bank's marketplace area. At the beginning of February, Starling and Molo announced a new partnership, making them the first company to join Starling's marketplace for business in the mortgages category. Molo are on a mission to change the way people get mortgages, and through this partnership, Starling business customers will be able to link their Starling account with a Molo Finance account through a simple and fast process and apply with a decision in principle, usually within a few minutes. Today we're going to talk about how this partnership came about and what such a partnership means for them from a product perspective. Nick, Gareth, how are you both doing today?
Very good.
Yeah, very good, thanks.
So I guess we'll start off by telling us a little bit about yourselves, how you kind of arrived in the product game, if you will, and how you got Starling and that sort of thing. Start off with you, Gareth. Yeah.
Yep, cool. So kind of starting from the top, I've been working in the marketplace team in the product side of the marketplace for about 6 months now. Before that, I'd been at Starling for about a year. Before that, I was collecting bugs that customers raised and passing them on to the engineers, just another way to improve the customer experience. First full-time role was at Starling, yeah. Before that, I was at University of Bristol, studied biology at Bristol.
Nice.
Took some time off to go to South America for a few months, had a bit of time off after that, and then started at Starling.
Straight into work. And Nick, for you?
I'm product owner at Molo. Kind of why I got into product. I think since a young age, I've always been interested in solving problems. So I think it's kind of cheesy product owner speak, but for me, that's kind of led me through a business degree at university. I went more on traditional route, I think, to product ownership, where I went through management consulting, working in large kind of IT projects for a company called Capgemini. That kind of got me interested in these problems. I thought that kind of the way we were trying to solve these problems just too big, too waterfall, as everyone says. Really agile and kind of lean thinking struck a chord with me. So right now I've been at Molo for maybe about 15 months now. It's been amazing, really intense. I think the problem that we're trying to solve is obvious and a really difficult one to solve, which is exciting, and I have full ownership of the various things I look at. For example, this integration, which is...
Could you talk a little bit about Molo's sort of goal? What are you trying to achieve and how are you trying to solve that problem?
I think our overarching goal as a company is one to really improve customer experience in the mortgage industry. As we say, kind of product is really putting the customer first. I think if you have a look at I don't know if you guys have ever applied for mortgages. Maybe Gareth is a bit young. Cost separate, yeah. It's probably a process that worked back in the day, whereas now it's quite slow, quite laborious, intensive. So if you put that kind of customer lens on it, we're trying to improve the customer experience. It's like, what are the customers interested in? Transparency of information, ease of access, simplicity, and essentially, which we'll see with this demo, is kind of getting a decision quite quickly. I mean, everyone nowadays wants a decision yesterday. But I think overarching it is to try and improve our customer experience when you apply for a mortgage. Predominantly now for us, it's in the buy-to-let space.
Yeah. And what was the decision there to go after buy-to-let?
It's an interesting one. I think from a high level, one thing about buy-to-let, and not to say we wouldn't go into, I mean, we have plans to go into residential in the future, but buy-to-let specifically because it is an easier, there are less, I think, barriers to access because it's an unregulated market. Not to say that you don't want to have the same high standards in our buy-to-let practice as we would have in a regulated residential space, but that just makes it kind of an easier to market to target. And the truth is, it's also a bit kind of underserved from a direct-to-consumer. So what's quite interesting with our partnership, which we'll get onto with Starling, is Buy-to-let traditionally is, as I said, or mortgages in general, quite slow. Buy-to-let, a lot of traits are, you go through a broker, so you're going through kind of boutique brokers, you're getting suggested products by them, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but that kind of direct-to-consumer option is not as readily available, or that information. So I think if I circle back to why buy-to-let, if we could prove the direct-to-consumer model in buy-to-let especially, I think it's quite important, and that we can actually attract customers, offer them a great customer experience and a quick application. So I think that's why buy-to-let.
Starling's marketplace has been a sort of core part of the offering since the beginning.
Yep.
Why does it make sense to extend that to the business side of Starling?
I think generally the marketplace has proved popular across the entire customer base, but we're seeing really good engagement within our business marketplace.
Yeah.
I think we're at around, I think it's over 30% of our business customers are using the marketplace.
Great.
So just as a start, there's appetite within our customer base for the marketplace. Buy-to-let specifically.
Yeah.
From customer research and from our Starling advocates, we call them, which are sort of business leaders that work within Starling that go out and speak to business customers at events and things like that. We understood that there was a big appetite for buy-to-let.
Interesting.
And we've seen so far that it's been a successful launch. Been a lot of interest there.
Great. How many people we got in Molo at the minute? And what do the product teams look like there, I guess?
Yeah, so we're about 35 and growing, 35 in London. We've got some development resource based in Kiev, so the people that you would have probably spoken to, Gareth.
Right, okay.
The Sergeys and Vladimirs,
okay.
etc. That ranges across in the UK from, because we do direct to consumer, we run like the whole value chain.
Okay.
Pretty much, you have marketing, we have customer engagement, case management, operations, through to underwriting. Where in cases we can't verify everything digitally, there's some manual intervention.
Great.
And then, I suppose we're more interested in the product team. In terms of product, we currently have 2 product owners, a chief product owner or officer, CPO, head of UX, and a head of UI. So with the 35 and growing, I think as we continue, we properly launched at the beginning of last year, and kind of soft launches in 2018. So we've been, not around forever. So we're in a big kind of like growth stage now. So
exactly.
Especially from a product and dev.
How does it work from your end? How does that?
So in terms of the size at Starling, I think we're approaching 1,000 people now. Most are still based in London, but we've expanded our sort of operations, customer service, onboarding teams to first Southampton, now to Cardiff.
Yes, of course.
And then in terms of how it's split, there's a big focus on engineering. I think Starling like to use this line that we're a fintech company with a banking license. There is a big focus on engineering at Starling. 100 plus engineers, I think.
Right.
Within the product team, it is a much smaller set. I mean, of course, sort of product is covered in various other departments as well. There's 2 of us that work in the marketplace that are within the product team, myself and Anna, who's the head of the marketplace. So we sort of work with them to understand how the product team can enhance the Starling product, but also how the marketplace can sort of almost fill the gaps in a way, but also support sort of the other goals of the business. Within the marketplace team as well, we also have partnerships. A couple guys who joined similar time to me in the partnerships team. And again, about half the team is engineering who work in the marketplace, but also sort of the wider marketplace team is our public APIs team. So it's not just about those that we have in the marketplace, but we have external applications, Emma, Yolt, who also use the API and who the rest of the team support.
Got you. So first, so how did this sort of, I guess, this partnership come about between the 2? Who approached who? How does that work?
Nick.
It's interesting because I've got partners. So Anna's not here. I've got to shout out Anna and Karen, who were very involved in this. Essentially, when we thought about Starling, we heard, spoke to Anna predominantly, spoke about the BCA, or the business current account offering. It just seemed a bit like a no-brainer and an interesting channel to test and to try. and there was appetite from Starling.
Yeah.
There was appetite from us, and to be honest, I mean, I think we'll talk about it more later on, but it was like working with another startup. We were keen. We thought, let's try it. Let's do it in a couple of months. You know, Starling were like, guys, just trying to temper our expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was pretty. I think it moved very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yeah, I feel like I wasn't there for the early stages, but kind of joined. It was probably around when you guys were starting the build potentially.
Yeah.
So from then, yeah, it was the back end of last year towards release last week.
Cool. Cool. So I guess we'll take a look at the first journey. So we kick off by logging into the account. And here we are, go into the top left. We've got this sort of navigation element at the top and a marketplace which we can sort of browse. Nice little intro carousel-y thing there. But we can see a sort of like a range of different categories. And as we mentioned at the top, this is the first sort of within the mortgage section or the lending section. And then we can sort of see details here and add that, which takes us directly out. Looks like some API gateway potentially going on here. You might be able to inform me.
So that's our sort of landing page. So we try to have a sort of joint page where you can see both of our logos, so the customer understands they're being sort of transitioned into a Molo journey now from the Starling app. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And we're sort of signing up for marketing and things like that, but we've given them the permission, some information here about personal details, all the sort of information that will be taken.
Yeah, perfect. So that's when you're creating a new account, Starling have a lot of the information that the customer's going to have to fill in with any sort of application they do for anything.
Yeah.
So with the customer's consent, we can pass that over to Molo Finance, and it just saves the customer a lot of time from having to fill all that in. Yeah.
A key thing in terms of getting that decision quickly, I guess, is getting through the KYC stuff, I guess.
Yeah, so now it's a two-way kind of data share. So we've established that we're sharing data now with Starling. Starling have shared some data with us, which we'll see. You've then come back to the Molo application and you're completing a DIP, so a decision in principle.
Yep.
Some initial kind of eligibility questions that we saw on the previous screen. Now you're putting in some basic high-level requirements from a property point of view. And I think this is, well, it's kind of quick, but this is where like the value is like two-way data share. All those fields are being pre-populated.
Yes.
Pre-populated by Starling.
Yeah.
The data that you've given consent to share between the two parties.
Excellent. And we can see that we found there from the marketplace, we've got access and we've got referral code option as well if we want to enter that there.
Yeah.
Is that a big engine of growth you're trying to use at the minute, the referrals?
Yeah, it's. I think we're testing that out at the moment, but yeah, that's something that we want to try.
Cool.
Yeah, because we want to. I think the best way of getting traction is with brand advocates.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. And then we can see the decision here. So
here you've got a decision in principle, tells you the max loan that you can get. It's kind of first step of decision in principle. You have the choice now to go on to a full application.
Yeah.
But as we see with a lot of customers, it's you've probably at this point in time we're able to give a very informed decision, predominantly is in terms of can we lend to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we can lend to you, how much?
Cool.
If that makes sense.
And how much is, would you say, the responsibility here to sort of move the user into the continue application, and how much is just to give them the sort of like, here is the surface, here is how much you can borrow, think about it, that sort of thing. Are you looking to convert those? Is there any sort of...
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, dips are great, but we want running loans, so offers confirmed. So you want to encourage people at the right time to to encourage them at the right time to complete a full application. But that would be kind of your next step.
That's your next step, yeah.
Because without going into too much detail, kind of at a high level, where I think about it is, can we, the decision engine is running a lot of checks on you as an individual initially, and then it's about the property. So it kind of moves on, are you adding anyone else to your application? And then where's the property? What's the details about the property? So kind of, can we lend to you, yes or no? And then additional applicants as well as the property. So you'll get a lot broader picture if you go further in the journey.
Got you.
If that's,
Well, this is the main introduction. It's a nice sort of overview of how likely you are to be given the product. On the topic of sort of, this is surfaced obviously within Starling's marketplace. I wondered if there was any sort of like, is this business as usual for you guys in terms of being able to integrate a product in, or is every single issue of every single instance of somebody coming into the marketplace an individual one with individual properties and requirements?
To an extent. I think generally we try to keep to a certain formula. So as we've seen in that video there, one of the ways that we're trying to enhance the customer experience is by shortening the journey, making it a lot easier. So that auto-population of a lot of the details that you saw in the sign-up flow there is quite standard and something we encourage for our new integrations, and something we'll see a bit later on as well that Nick was talking about is the sharing of data back from Molo Finance into Starling. So one of the ideas of the marketplace is, so say you've got a Molo integration, but you can have any other sort of integration that you've got with Starling, say if you've got your pension on there, investments, anything like that, insurance. From within the marketplace, you'll be able to see a high-level status of all those different things. That's one of the key benefits of the marketplace. So we try and encourage that data to come back in as well, so that the customer can see that information.
Great.
So whilst it was a really great integration, it was like I think it really it's a smooth experience with Molo anyway, but making it even smoother is fantastic. But it's along the same lines as our normal formula. Yeah. Great.
And Nick, how was it for you? Is this the first time that Molo's been involved in this sort of third-party integration? Have you done other things like that before?
No, not yet. It was it was very exciting for us, especially for me. Yeah, as I kind of alluded to earlier, it came around quite quickly. It was something that we were very excited to do. Working with Starling, kind of where from a API documentation, sandbox, and integration, is where we'd want to be a company in a couple of years. Communication was great. As I said, never met Gareth until today, but we were chatting on Slack constantly. It was exciting, a bit nerve-wracking at the beginning, but having Gareth's help and working with Starling, it was pretty straightforward in the end.
Good.
I have to say nothing but positives from my side.
Cool. So do you want to talk a little bit about the ambition for Starling's business marketplace? Kind of how large will the range be for SME integrations and picture?
Yeah. So sort of one of the key reasons and something we want to promote through the marketplace is choice. So we didn't have anyone on the business side of buy-to-let mortgage space, so that's, as Nick said, it was a no-brainer in that instance. So we want to expand the choice available to our business customers. Obviously, there's a lot of things that we may offer through Starling, so we've got to think about what we'll be offering through the marketplace as well. But generally we do want more choice. We're going to continue to onboard new partners to fill in the gaps and just as a choice as well. So we sort of mentioned earlier on that this two-way data exchange is what we try and promote through the marketplace to make it easier, but we're also looking, what more can we do? So we can change almost anything about it. Say Molo pull information from us, but what more can we do with Molo and with other partners? So we're looking at deeper integrations.
Cool. Interesting.
And how they can tie in with products we've released, such as our new toolkit, which is what we call the accounting package that we've had a press release about recently. So we've got invoicing tools, accounting, VAT tools. How that can interact with the marketplace and various partners is a space for development as well.
So lots going on there then, I guess. So in terms of, Nick, for you guys, the typical response to the sort of onboarding flow for buy-to-let or this decision in principle flow, did you face any sort of technical challenges when it came to sort of baking this into sort of Starling? Is there anything in general that you found about the process of designing a decision in principle flow?
I suppose in more general terms, so decision in principle, is kind of a coin or agreement in principle, coin mortgage term. Means different things to different people. So actually, when we first launched, trying to be quite, improve the customer experience and kind of speed and ease of use, we tried to. You always have that challenge from a UX and product point of view. Is like what questions do you want? What questions do you want to ask in that application, so that you can inform the user whether a mortgage with us would be suitable or not. Whereas you don't want to go, but then you don't want to go too to the status quo. We ask so many questions that often are quite irrelevant.
Yeah.
So it was capturing that mix between what we needed to ask and what we should ask. So yeah, a lot of work with customers. But the most interesting thing is when we went live is that so we kind of have an artificial delay at the end of the process, but people just didn't think we were running any checks. Like, you know, 3 screens,
Really?
click, 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 and it's like, that's pretty quick. How can you give us a decision in principle?
That's a nice problem to have.
Yeah, it was actually. So then we introduced, similar to your comparison websites, you know, like Skyscanner, etc., where they give you artificial delay, you know, like checking this, checking that.
Yeah.
Introduced that. And then also kind of helping people with how we get them into the journey. So I suppose from this point of view, it's new channel, interesting channel, but in the spirit of product, you know, we want to build, test, iterate. So I don't think this is the finished product. So similar to my points is like, should we tailor the journey for the user to give them a bit more information? So I have spoken to a customer, got in touch with us already actually, and mentioned that he would like to have seen some rates involved. So it's like, how do we learn from what we've done?
Yeah.
Because there's loads that we could do, both in terms of the journey and in terms of existing customers within Starling, how we enrich that data in transactions, etc.
Yeah.
Further down the line, that data share, how do we use it? So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Like the journey's the same for every Starling customer, but I guess in the future there's no need for that to be the case. You know, we already have a lot of data about our customers, so if we can offer them a more personalised, speedier journey, then it's an opportunity to explore. Yeah,
absolutely. On this sort of the notion of, you know, within the marketplace, I guess we're maybe starting to see with this sort of thing that a form of bifurcation between sort of the marketplace on one end and those who feed into the marketplace on the other end. So in this instance, it's Starling offering themselves as sort of the house of some of these sort of services, and then someone like Molo who are actually offering the financial products going in there. And so, do you factor your ability to work with other people into the ways of working now? Do you find yourselves thinking about that more actively as the world changes into these sort of tracks?
I mean, well, I certainly hope we do. I mean, if you think about it, what do we want to be? We want to differentiate the customer experience from a buy-to-let perspective, so that end-to-end journey. If you think of a running mortgage and your monthly transactions, etc., you can almost argue, is that something that we want to be experts for? Probably not, in the sense that it's something that Starling do, you know, current accounts which people use, which is great. You know, it's a great product. So, if I'm explaining it correctly, it's more like you have to be able to integrate, I think, going forward, integrate with people that are specialists in this particular area, rather than just saying that you're going to do everything and try and please everyone, especially as us being a small company. So for me, anything we do, and we're hoping to do other partnerships in the future, we'll use kind of Starlings. I'll be interested to hear Gareth's point of view, but like the learnings from this integration, just to be kind of open that way. If you want to come and test our API, if you want to test what we're doing, share documentation, it should be relatively open, because it has to foster that innovation amongst fintechs, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gareth, would you?
Yeah, I agree with the openness. Certainly, I think we had our API before the introduction of PSD2, the new EU regulation, but openness is definitely the way that it's going. Making it easier for customers to move between their different suppliers, to move their data between different suppliers, to have everything in one place, like we try and encourage through the marketplace. And as Nick mentioned, we don't have buy-to-let mortgage product or mortgage product or anything like that. So if we can offer our customers a really easy experience to access these products with people that do have experience in offering them, perfect, that works great.
Is there any sort of technical requirements, or sort of what tech was used in order to facilitate and grow this marketplace function? Yeah,
so the marketplace, all of our integrations, including Molo's, are API based. So we use Molo's API and they use ours. So our public API. So with the introduction of PSD2, banks have been required to open banking regulations. Banks have been required to produce an open banking API
Yep.
to a certain specification. But I think something that's important to note is we were granted exemption from that because ours goes beyond the specification of the API. So
Yep.
sort of the open banking spec was drawn up thinking of like the CMA9 banks and the capabilities that they have, but we can do so much more than that. We use our own API for our online banking platform, for example.
Yeah.
That's effectively just a way of displaying your bank account information there.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can. The API is ours. We can do what we want with it, any sort of specification to any sort of level to perform these deeper integrations.
Nice.
Yeah.
And could you talk, Nick, a little bit about the way that the sort of the decisioning works, maybe the tech works, as much as you can anyway. I guess there's maybe some things you can't say, but is there anything going on from you guys in terms of the back end to power this?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, and I'm product owner of kind of automation, so one of my key goals is the whole like decision engine.
Yeah.
And so the brains sitting behind the hood. So yeah, I think from a high level, try and keep it as simple as possible. From a mortgage perspective and a buy-to-let perspective, because buy-to-let, I won't go into the details, but it is very different to a residential mortgage, how it's calculated, how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, like any journey, it's about the business requirements and what are the lending requirements and how can we automate those.
Right.
So similar to my question or my answer earlier about asking as little questions as possible. When you come onto Molo and you're starting an application with us, similar to the DIP, we are trying to ask the most relevant questions, the questions that we need to basically make automated decisions on that lending criteria.
Yep.
So we have a number of algorithms, a number of rules that we're running in the background, and the rules wouldn't really be useful without data to back it up. So without going, again, we're just keeping it maybe high level, is we run like a trust but verify model. So it's very simple. It's fine, you can tell us everything in the digital journey, but we need to verify that. And the way we do that is through different data sources. So one of our big partners is Experian.
Okay.
There's some others can't really talk about, but we work on FIDO for ID verification. We work with other third parties. Open banking and stuff like this is a big part for us, especially in the buy-to-let space. So that's a huge area which we will try to steal or create some secret sauce around. But yeah, it's as you're going through the journey, it's verifying the human element to larger data sets.
Sure. Excellent.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a look at this second journey, which, as we've mentioned before, is the Starling marketplace sort of status or surfacing that. So again, logging in, and then the same route going back in via the left-hand side navigation into the marketplace. We can then
Yes, this is the high-level view where you see all of your marketplace integrations there. So you see the Molo one there.
And we can see that's in progress, decision in principle, with the option to view the decision with this button here. So what was important for you to surface there?
Yes, this is one that we are going to continue to look to maybe improve, but from kind of Gareth's point, Starling not limit us, but we have to kind of work within the boundaries of the tiles, they're called. So depending on where you are as a user in your journey, we'll surface different information.
Got you.
So for example, this customer is quite early in the journey, so they have only finished a dip, haven't started a full application. So we're just kind of trying to continue them on that journey. Just kind of giving them a little push. If you haven't started an application in the marketplace, we're going to encourage you to start. Maybe show you some rates, so you can tap on actually see some more tiles and see our product rates. Probably the most interesting for that one is and we do have a couple of Starling customers that have mortgages with us and use Starling. But when you have a mortgage and a running loan, to see the amount you borrowed and your next payments, etc. But in that tile, initially will just show your outstanding balance. So that probably is the biggest added value in that space for us for now. Not to say that we wouldn't improve it though. Yeah.
And from your guys' perspective, you want to, I guess, allow them to surface the relevant information. But also, how do you sort of make sure that you're essentially getting out of the way in a sense to give them the freedom to be like, well, this is the information that we're providing from our back end, and you're surfacing that information on your marketplace.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to design for those sorts of things?
So as Nick mentioned, currently the way that the tiles work, which is what we call them, what we saw in the video there, the bit within the marketplace that said Molo and the status there.
Yep.
As soon as you head into the marketplace, you have a list of all of your various integrations and the sort of statuses of your various accounts.
Yep.
I guess the fact that it's everything on that screen, we say what size the tile is going to be, for example, but everything else is up to the partners there, so they can display pretty much anything they want. So that's sort of the API, the data flow from the partner into Starling. That's what we use that for. So we just access the data, and Molo can choose what to display there.
Great.
And like the background logo and everything, of course, that's all them. Yeah.
Cool. Just some questions to finish off with, but sort of general thoughts on sort of this partnership thing, the sort of partnership role, and any plans of expanding partnerships. What's next for you guys?
We launched last week. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
I think maybe Nick knows a bit more about the sort of traffic that they've been seeing so far, but I think it's been positive.
It's been very positive over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we've had big press releases, etc. So it'll be interesting to see how that continues.
Yeah.
But I think we are currently with the business current accounts. I think we're looking to move into the personal current accounts, although business current account is a bit more on trend for us in the buy-to-let industry at the moment.
Yep.
And then, in terms of, I think the existing journey, so it's if we're seeing a lot of traffic through there and good traffic, how can we make it even better? Because, how can we use Starling's data potentially better as well? This is very much the first release, so if we see more people choosing this route, there's no way we wouldn't consume like transactional data to help us when necessary, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So next steps, kind of see how it goes. Launch it in the personal current account. But then just monitor it.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I think the way to do it is an iterative approach. So we launched this initial offering, but as Nick mentioned, because we have our public API, we can do so many more things with it. Basically, it's so much more powerful. We can look at transactions. A lot of the journey that you have to do on Molo's side is sort of passing these checks and things like that. But of course, customers have already done checks with Starling, so there's sort of opportunity there to pass that information on and to shorten the process even further. Yeah.
Got you. Cool. Great. Well, that's all the time for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stop by next week for more insights and journeys. If you want to see more from 11FS Pulse, the product that backs this show up, head over to pulse.11fs.com, where you can request a demo. If you've got any questions about the product or want to suggest a journey for us to include on the platform or on this show, then find us on Twitter at 11FSPulse or pulse@11fs.com via email. You guys, if anyone wants to find you, are you on Twitter or are you doing any of that sort of thing? If not, where are your companies? Where can we find those? Start with you guys.
Go for it.
Twitter, I'm more of a kind of creep. So, you can probably find me, but there's nothing interesting to me. Somewhere in the ether. But no, you can find Molo on all the social media channels. Me personally, more on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions, you're watching this, feel free to message me on LinkedIn. I'd be more than happy to answer any.
Cool.
That's probably the best spot.
Great.
Yeah, same for us. I mean, Twitter, Instagram for generally Starling Bank.
Yeah.
The marketplace, if anyone is interested in the marketplace, we've got some information on our website, and they can reach out. We're happy to talk to anybody about expanding the offerings. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.